I don't know how many people use the Denon or Marantz because they're the same um, features there on the screen. Can I zoom in on that? That's an airplane. The it's a specific airplane. If I go to a specific site, I know what type of airplane that is. Jet plane. So you got mono movie, right? But there's no proper mono on here, unless, of course, this is Airport 77, which is a mono film mix, unless you use this mode here. If you use that mode, it's only dual mono centre, left and right channel, which is incorrect because it should have been encoded so it's only centre channel, so to speak. So then the signal goes onto the centre. Most people think it like, oh, that's how it should be. No, that's not how it should be. So you got to like select that mode, which is not brilliant in its functionality actually.
Search 1, this is Navy Search 2, proceeding to Sector Charlie. Over.
This is Navy Search 4, proceeding to Sector Delta. Negative sightings in Alpha Sector. Out.
Is there any chance of them spotting us?
Not a chance.
Okay, so
They're looking.
Back it up a little bit.
For Charlie. Over.
I'll go to this mono. Mono movie. It's just like a DSP, like you get on a Yamaha DSP 100 processor, or you know, it's just an effects delay echo.
Search 2, proceeding to Sector Charlie. Over.
This is Navy Search 4, proceeding to Sector Delta. Negative sightings in Alpha Sector. Out.
Is there any chance of them spotting us?
Not a chance. They're looking for us where we're supposed to be, and we're headed away from them at 600 miles an hour.
So, just kind of creates like a being in an auditorium. I'm just trying to think, you know, like say what size of auditorium that could be. Typically when I go in Empire Leicester Square, which had a bit of an echo delay of 1 point of a whatever, maybe 5 or 6 or 7th of a second. It wasn't as bad. The echo wasn't as bad being in round in the middle seating, the double AA or BB row or BB or maybe double C or such. It wasn't too bad back there, but the further it seemed went up close to the front row, because the echo was echoing and then going back and then returning back at you. You know, very fast speed of sound, 348 or whatever per millisecond, really bam, zam. And you just get these rubbish movies, like typical rubbish Michael Bay rubbish movies, rubbish writing, and you get people going like, no. What the bloody hell is that? What sort of dialogue? What sort of English is that? That is not English. And Americans are always bragging about bloody hell. You know, hey, don't forget what country you came from, okay? So you're not American. You come from another country. Okay? Won't get into that debate, okay? So, don't lecture me on English. You just can't understand a bloody Michael Bay. And I tell you, it's even worse, even when it's in a room like this that's not got any echo. And it's like, I still can't understand, because who talks like that? Unless they're jacked up on speed, LSD and concentrated bath salts. Who ever talks like that? In that bloody Transformer movie, it was so unintelligible. I couldn't understand any of it. It looked visually entertaining. The sound effects were great. It was a little bit toppy at times, but I just couldn't understand the dialogue, because it was getting muddled up, because when speaking the first line, and then the next line, you got to give it some pause between, because if you're writing something, it's got to have pause between. Otherwise, it plays in an auditorium that's got I don't know what it was like, say, like on a dubbing stage. It might have a different delay time, reverberation time. But anyway, the point is, this gimmicky effect with I really don't know. I don't know what was going through the minds of Denon and Marantz or whoever, whatever. Why did they not put a proper mono on here? Because you got stereo, but on top of that should be mono, stereo, then Dolby, Pro Logic, and then Dolby Digital, Dolby Atmos, DDS, DDSX, Oro Dead 3D sound. And that sounds even dreadful because that's got a bit of an echoey delay effect on it. That's just no better than blimmin' mono movie mode. I don't know what virtual, what the bloody hell does this sound like then? Let's have a look. Let me have a look. Oh no, the signal's not outputting. It's only going to the left and right. So I have to unmute the left and right channel.
600 miles an hour.
I better help Banker.
So it's only going out on left and right.
Not a chance.
It's not doing anything. I don't understand the logic of that. Seriously, that's just, to me, that there is just total bloody waste of whoever. That's just a waste of time. Seriously, I hardly ever use it, and I'm only using it in the purpose of this video. But seriously, I never use that. It sounds it's like some bullshit, like trying to say, oh, this is pure audio. I do not hear a bloody sounding difference. I'd have to do a frequency sweep to see result. Anyway, the Dolby Surround, when it's playing with a 424 matrix, so like a laser disc, center channel is all whooshy sounding and it doesn't sound right, and I've got to switch to proper any of the other proper. It's okay on that Onkyo that's got Pro Logic, PL2 I think, and then PL2Z, PL2X I think, and of course the CP500 there can do it proper, the CP200 can do it proper, 750 can do it proper, and even the Sony has its own matrix, which is I think it's that one there and that one. Yeah, it's one of those two, I think. Or was it this one, that one? I think one is totally mono. I think it's that one that's mono there. Of course, I've got to assign the outputs on the, so I'll assign that output there on zone 2 and zone 3, and yeah, everyone's got this thing in for zone 1 and zone 2 on their AVR. Bloody hell, they're not utilising it. I don't use zone 2. I don't have any need for it. I got need for it because then I can output the signal through the RCAs, and hopefully I think it should come out on one of these sound formats here if I press play.
They're looking for us where we're supposed to be, and we're headed away from them 600 miles an hour.
And it's going out mono.
I better help Banker.
Whereas that's on the on there now, on Dolby Surround mode, DSU. And you can see it's kind of sloshy all over the place. It's out of phase, or it's sloshing the signal up.
Get me Syncland fleet operations.
That's going through Pro Logic, or Pro Logic mode on the SDDS, and that one there is total mono, where it's not using any bass extension, and that one there, and that one there. But because there's a mono signal there at the moment, it's not stereo or Dolby 424. Because I can use the speakers wide, or I can use the inner channels, left, center, right, center, left, center, right, center.
Oh, yeah.
So I can adjust those. I can use those formats. Anyone that's got an AVR like a Denon Marantz or whatever, you can link in, say, if you've got one of the other type of AVR, you can link that in via its 8-channel input on here. So you just take the outputs from here, RCA phonos, and connect them onto that. This isn't connected this way, this is all done different, but I'm just saying, if you've got one of these, you can connect an existing AVR that's got the other better Pro Logic modes and such. They don't have the issues like DSU does. I'm not sure if it's like on every, you know, I know they had firmware and they corrected this issue over a year and a half or so more or so ago, I think. Whereas everyone was saying, everybody was noticing it, the dialogue was leaking out over the left and right and the surround and the overhead, of course, and it was distracting, and they had a firmware update for that, but they hadn't fixed the kind of sloshy, whooshy, phasing sort of ness in the center channel. So if you're playing a 424 matrix, and if I mute the left and right and the surrounds, I can hear this whooshy effect going on. And if I switch over to there, on there, or if I go over to auxiliary number 2, I can use, see, I can use the CP750. Got the switcher box up there, switch over, I can use the CP200, the CP500. I can bypass it, or I can go through. I could use the Yonkio. So I've got sound formats that can cater, rather than having a processor AVR that says, oh yes, it's all got the bells and whistles, it's got EQ, it's got auto EQ, it's got Dirac, it's got Odyssey, it's even got a kitchen sink we miniaturized and built into the bloody chip. It's got bloody zillion metrics, bloody Atmos overhead, bloody speakers and all that, yeah, but it can't do all the other sound formats. It can't, like, say, if you're going to play Star Wars, you need a proper matrix decoder. Otherwise, you're not duplicate. But then most people today are young, so they wouldn't have a clue what that is supposed to sound like, because there's not many, say, I don't know. I'm kind of like a historian. I'm saying how it was, how it should be, and how manufacturers are misleading the public with this nonsense of like, oh yeah, this is great, but it's not. If I thought it was great, I wouldn't have had to connect up all this now, would I? Because it makes me feel so depressed when I listen to it and think, no, is there any way round it? You know? And yeah, you can buy, if you sold your Onkyo or sold that other AVR that had, and you knew it sounded good, it had good Dolby Pro Logic on it and such, and had other features on it, and that was pretty good. But the flagship, the Atmos, immersiveness, it does not have. You'd probably want to say rebuy that AVR, and you can go on eBay, get that thing now cheap, because they lose their value. They don't keep their value. They just lose their value, and then no one's going to touch that, and then so you got to bring the value down just to sell it, just get rid of it. It just loses its value. A CP200, the cinema processor here, that can't really lose its value, even though it's not serviceable anymore with parts and everything. But to anyone that knows the potential of these processors, and they say, "Whoa, I like that processor from," Oh, so now we're talking bidding now, are we? And, you know, I could probably sell it if I want to for a ridiculous amount. But if I do that, I won't be able to get that processor again. And it took me decades to get that processor. I wanted this cinema processor from the first day I saw it at a cinema, and I thought, wow, that looks cool. I'd like to have that in the home. You know, that's one of those sort of things, you know. SDDSs, they're pretty common. 750s, they're pretty common. This DTS thing here, that's pretty rare, and one showed up on eBay recently. I think it must have sold, but I was surprised because I think I made a post video or something. All I know is a couple of days later or so, bam, I saw one of those on eBay. Curious. And it was a bit pricey, and not too pricey, mind you, but the postage was ridiculously expensive. I mean, stupidity. I mean, an insane price for the postage. And this is not a heavy item. It's very small. It's not very heavy. You can hold it in your hand and do that. You can put 3 of these together and easily do that. It's not hardly got any weight in it. So yeah, cinema process and ProLogics and such, and of course there's other things like Logic 7, which I've not experienced or had to listen to. And you know, there are AVRs out there, I think, or processors. I think some of them are Lexicon. I'm not sure if it's CP1 or 2 or 3. It's one of those models, and they got a Logic 7 or such on it, and some people raved about them, and I thought, wonder what that sounds like. I'm curious. I wonder what it sounds like, you know. And listening to it, each bit, each output of its matrix steering or vector steering or whatever. I'm curious. I'm just curious to see whether, could I have any use for that sort of matrix sort of thing and add it on to something that is existing in this setup and add on, exploit it, so to speak. So we'll go back to this mono movie. I've got to switch over from auxiliary 1 to 2.
So do I. Try. But I was back after you. There. Yeah, there you go.
But let me have another listen. Let me go back and let's go back a bit. Of course, there it's doing it on all channels. Let's see. So I've got to do this now. So I haven't got a simple switch where I could quickly switch and mute the surrounds. So I'll mute the surrounds. So I'll just wait for some dialogue passage because it's a bit difficult with sound effect. Unless I mute the sound or pause the video on and off, and then I hear the echo delay. Oh yeah, I hear the echo there. Put the center in.
Jesus Christ.
Mute the left and right.
What is it? What the hell happened?
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not echoing. It's not echoing on the center channel. So if I put the left and right on, it's echoing. Let me just mute the center and put the left and right, or just put the left channel on. Yeah, I can hear kind of processing, very short delay echo, sort of reverb delay. Mute the screen channels and unmute the surround. Okay. Exit, 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 and on. Yeah, I can hear it. It's a kind of zizzy sort of effect with the. It's bloody dreadful. You know, if I wanted to create, say, like an echo effect, I've been thinking about doing it. It's a bit of a big deal to set up, actually. Thinking of using, say, something like a Yamaha DSP 100, using a few of them, because I've got one, and they have, I think you got 2-channel in. It's also got Dolby Surround on it, so they issued that model out before they released the DSR 100. They had the nice VU meters on it, so you can see the channel levels. You know, you can see what the action of what's going on with the sound levels. Orange displays, yeah, pretty cool looking. So the DSP 100 is an effects processor, mostly chamber, hall, concert, theatre 1 and 2, type A, B, reverberation, delay, short. It's got a bundle on it. It's got a bundle. And Yamaha, they say they captured these sound field from specific halls, famous halls and such, and some cinemas, and so you got all sorts of things on there, all sorts of modes to use and program as well, and then you got customize, and you got I think prefix, some are prefix, or you can customize it for the room. And I was thinking of using one of those, and a few of them, that is, and running multiplexing microphones around the room. Very complicated. Very complicated. So it's like these these light effect things, and they got like a little microphone on them, and they respond to sound, and then they flicker to the impulses of the rhythm of your voice or music or whatever, a sine wave, pink noise, whatever, and placing the microphones specifically, not randomly just placed, but specifically placed, and then have it coming into the audio mixer, because they're phantom power, and then outputting the signal to a Yamaha DSPs, maybe 2 of them. So I'll have one to do processing up for the front with a few channel outputs, and then the other one for the back of the room to output, and I was thinking maybe using external other speakers, but I thought, nah, that's going to be a bit, I don't want to put the price up on that. I was thinking, okay, the other way I could do it is to actually put the signal so it goes into all this system, goes into all what is, and goes into that. And so if you happen to come in a room and start talking and such, you hear a mild, not an obnoxious echo that's too long, and it's going to really then make things unintelligible, but actually place an echo in the room. But it would be fake. It wouldn't be a real echo. Although it could be, but it's trial and error to sort of get the timing right and such. And so it seems like if I were to close my eyes or double blind or whatever, I think, yes, it sounds like, yeah. But the microphones would have to be like placed above, near the floor, and near the middle round the walls, so it picks up. And the gain levels as well got to be set specifically, and they may need additional EQ or filtering on it so they don't get too boomy or you get any of this something that sounds artificial. I was thinking of doing something like that, but that's pretty complicated to do. I don't think there's a home theatre around even thinking of doing that. Now that I mentioned it, you probably think, that's interesting. I know what you mean. I know where you're going with that. So if you want to try that, then be my guest. Because I know it's a lot of work to do. It's a lot of work. And I don't fancy using my microphones. I'll be using other microphones. But if you ask me how much it would cost to set up, it would probably cost a few hundred at least to set it up. You could get the Yamaha DSP 100s pretty cheap today, and immaculate condition. Some of them are in immaculate condition. Most owners have probably only ever had one owner. The one that I bought, it looks, immaculate. So that's about that, I think. And dialogue on these bloody movie things, a load of bloody rubbish. They could have put a proper mono on it, but and like this bloody Denon is bloody useless. They could have made it like a cinema processor, because I find it kind of weird. The Denon or Marantz, they got something called Cinema 50 or whatever. What the bloody hell does that mean, huh? Cinema 50 doesn't even look at anything like a cinema processor, I can tell you that. If they would have put buttons on the front panel here, so you can just press mono, stereo, Dolby Pro Logic, proper Dolby Pro Logic, and then maybe a DSP, DSU, whatever, and then Atmos, and then DDSX, and then Aura, and then you know what I mean. And maybe there would have been more room there, so they could put a bloody proper display there, so you can see like a liquid crystal display or something, so you can see or a fluorescent display. I think that's a fluorescent display, that. So you can see the VU meter, the level meters moving. So you got something to look at, So you can see how bloody loud and deafening this bloody movie is, or how imbalanced the bloody mix is. If it's a movie and it's got a Hans Zimmer score on it, it's guaranteed it's going to have a bad sound mix on it. Every bloody movie that I've come across that's had a Hans Zimmer music score on it, it's had an appalling LCR mix. Like when the end credits roll, the centre channel's like way down here and the left and right is up here. What is the point of that? All that is creating is audio frequency masking. And then what you're going to do, have something like an audio compressor or an outboard audio compressor, audio limiter to kind of limit those levels down. So you can just hear the instrument specifically. Sometimes there might be a boom 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 boom, and you got on the left and right, yeah. and you want to hear that flow of music, because it sounds really musical on, and some really decent, you know. But there's some movies that just got very poor mixing, and I don't know if it's due to the width of the speakers on the dubbing stage, which will be a lot more wider. So you got a centre channel bam in the middle, and you got left and right, and they're spread apart by at least many feet. It's very hard to say how long a piece of string is, but they are spread apart by many, many, many feet. More wider than our room at home. And so it could be partly to that. And if you happen to be like close to the screen channels, because you could do this effect at home, it's very simple to do. You know, you got your LCR all balanced up and all this, and you have another row seating that's a little bit more near to the seat. I wouldn't put a seating row up here because this would be too close to the screen, and I know that it's then it becomes, well, depending on the angle, so the off axis coming down, and then, you know, the sound frequencies that are heard are perceived. You know, you don't say like, oh crikey, you can't equalise everything. You know, it's not possible. It's just not possible. But you know, you can stand up front and you listen. Depending on what film, if it was, say, like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and it's got dialogue pannings and such, I've got to be able to hear Sean Connery over there. I didn't know you could fly a plane. Fly, yes. Land, no, in the centre channel. I didn't know you can fly a plane. It's like a half centre pan. You hear it over there, so to speak. Or when the villain Donovan enters in the movie through the doors, and you hear the doors opening on this stage channel, and you hear the voice over there, and then as he gradually walks over, it comes into the centre channel. You know, you got things like, you know, you got to have the balance on the frequency correct and the levels correct. Check. So it sounds good at the front and just about okay a little bit further back. But the further you go back in a room, the stereo just gets narrow and narrower and narrower. That's just simple. That's just simply the way it is, even with real life sound. Depending on what type of real life and sound it is, it's the same phenomenon. Can't be undone, really. So it's always like finding best seats, you know, such to because, you know, sometimes, you know, front row is good in the cinema, and usually those front rows are usually many meters away from the screen. Whereas the home, I've seen some homes, the rooms are longer than my room, and I only see 2 rows of seating, or maybe 3. But I hardly see any seats that are really, maybe say, maybe 9 foot, maybe 10 foot away from the screen. Smaller auditoriums, boothless auditoriums I've seen up in Leicester Square. I think I've got some pictures, I'm not sure.
I've lost contact with 23 Sierra.
So I can still play the movie while I'm on the, you know, through the STDS anyway. That's one of the small boothless auditoriums at Empire, when it was Empire Leicester Square, you know, before it totally got butchered. Well, they were slowly butchering it. I mean, they even turned this, I think this was a toilet, or the toilets or whatever, the original toilets, I think, and they decided to turn that into an auditorium. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my god. Oh dear. Sad. But that's front row there. I was just trying to find another picture. I'm not sure if I've got a picture where it shows the screen and the front row. I think that's the same auditorium as well. I think that's the same auditorium. just taken from a different angle. Yeah, it's the same auditorium there. Another thing, point out, I do like the seating, the rocker seats. I do like those seats, but I prefer the seats in Empire One. Actually, it's really sad whatever happened to those seats, but that should never have happened. I don't really want those seats, because they belong in that auditorium. Yeah, but those seats, they're nice. They're nice modern rocker ones, bit like my rocker seats, but I think these ones are a little bit more comfy. Yeah. There's the front row of the Empire One seats, seat 21 and 22. Those are the two nearest seats on the centre line, so you can fight for those seats. That's one of the projection screens. I have no idea what. I think that might be one of the smallest auditoriums. It might have been upstairs in the Empire, because I went up there to see Toy Story, and they got a red LED effect going around it. I went up to see Toy Story, threw the 3D glasses away. Just went up there to listen to the sound, really, because it was kind of that sort of controversial sort of movie sort of thing back in the time when it was on AC3 THX Laserdisc. Actually, it sounded better here because it didn't really all sound that good. It was a bit of a disappointment. Too hyped up and totally disappointment. The fader level was turned down on it on that day, and it was hardly a full auditorium. There was only probably about 10 people in the auditorium. Yeah, those are the smaller. Those are some of the screens that are downstairs. I think it's 7, 8, and 9. Not sure if that is going up. Some on the floor level, on the foyer level, and I think number 9 is upstairs, which is slightly back or behind Empire One, and you can just about hear Empire One leaking through into this boothless auditorium. I think it is. That's one of the screens. I think at the very least, if I guesstimate, I think if not, the distance from the first row seating, I think maybe at the very least, for argument's sake, about the same distance of what I got my cinema seats at from my screen, about 9 foot or so, about 9-10 foot. So you need seats that are pretty near. I see a lot of home cinema rooms, and I'm thinking, blimey, I don't know if this person's really experienced enough. He just wants the home theatre just to show off, but I don't think he's really that experienced. And I can go in a room and I can listen to such and such movie that I'm familiar with, and then bam, I'm going to notice something. Yeah, it's a bit awkward sounding. You're not getting the sound reproduced properly enough. What does the pink noise sound like now? Let's have a listen to the pink noise and the state of it and such. Okay, there's your problem. So yeah, only takes me a couple of minutes to figure it out. But yeah, at least I think this had screen masking on it. I think it had screen masking that moved. I wouldn't mind screen masking on mine, but it's not easy to fit screen masking. It's a bit awkward. And the little servo motors, they got these little tiny little motors to wind the to bring the masking in and out and such. I wouldn't mind one, but I think things like that, screen masking for home cinema, I think would be sold at a stupid price because they think it's a luxury. It almost makes me cringeworthy now when I look at JBL and they're calling some part of JBL home cinema like JBL home luxury cinema or something. I don't know what's going through their minds, why they would say luxury, because you get poor people. I'm poor. And you're like, that's for rich people then, huh? So that's kind of discrimination of JBL. There being discrimination, calling it luxury and that. It isn't not a luxury. It is not a luxury. You think, oh, you got a Trinov? Yeah, but can that Trinov do all the sound format properly? No, it can't. Sorry. And you just spent 50k on a cinema home processor that can't do it all. But you know, I think the prices are, and when you look at it, it's no more different than say, well, blimey, all I have to do is figure that out, build it on, say, like a metal frame, and put it round the screen, attach it to where the black felt thing is, round the metal aluminium frame, and have little servo motors, and you know, you need a servo motor or motor that can pull this amount of tension, you know, yeah, and have the little the wheels, you know, so you know, and also a programmer to which, oh, I got a friend, he could probably design something as simple like that. So the servo motor is turning so many revolutions and then will stop, and then you got that masking for that widescreen aspect ratio, and then another one for Academy ratio for, say, like Wizard of Oz or Casablanca. But the problem there is you've got to have the thing. I haven't got a memory thing lens or whatever you call it on the video projector, so it can adjust. Because it's manual, it's not got an auto, it isn't auto, and yeah, it's a bit of a pain in the arse to get behind it where it is positioned at and adjust. It's if I was going to show a widescreen movie to someone, I will just adjust it, shrink the image down so it's about the correct aspect ratio to the screen size. Yeah, but I think some little servo motors and bit of aluminium that's cut and designed and shaped and such, and they're going to be selling it at the very least for nearly close to 1,000, I guess. I'm not paying that stupid money. That's stupid. That's just like paying for a perforated screen or acoustical transparent screen that's over $1,000. That's daylight robbery. That is not luxury. That's just sheer greediness, daylight robbery. Probably going to get a lot of people and probably going to get a lot of heat for saying that. I don't give a damn. I'm just saying it how it is, and you know, and don't be a fool and spend that money just because it's luxury. It isn't luxury. Bloody hell. If it's that luxury, then you want to be living in your bloody home cinema more times than you would sleep on your bed. Think about it. I mean, there was a time when I was utterly depressed when my cat Sooty passed away. My father. I lost my uncle. I lost my father. I lost my cat all in a single year. I'm totally devastated. I thought, I can't take any more of this. And I was sick as a parrot, utterly depressed when my Sooty passed away. I stayed in bed, literally, for over a month. I didn't get out of come into this room. I felt angry about all this and thinking it's immaterial. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's immaterial. And I was so bloody furious angry. So, if you think this is all luxury, then a lot of people out there are seriously bloody deluded, is all I can say. That's it. Anyway, enough of the ranting.